Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to take a look at one intraday trade that stood out, and I think there's a real lesson to be learned on this one, particularly for newer traders. And we're going to take a look at a couple of swing trades and just get an update of how things are going. So gold, this one puked it from 11:10 in the morning today all the way till about 2:30 p.m. Australian time. Sold off 1.7%. It looks pretty rough on the daily for gold, but it was a nice move. And EVN, that it translated to EVN. But mind you, it translated it very slowly. So we're going to look at the 1 minute chart here. This is 11:10 around here. So it sold off about 10 cents in an hour and a half. So 8 cents. It's fuck all. And then all of a sudden at 12:40, it puked it down around, just under 6%. A massive intraday move. Massive. And I was following it once it did sort of get around this level. I was talking to some people about where it bounces, and 11:50. I mean, come on, guys. Come on, the universe tells you where it's going to bounce. 11:50, if it wasn't going to be 11:50, it was going to be 11. Or it'll hold 12. Because it broke 12. Look, it tried to hold 12. Puked it. Where's the next level? 11:50. Of course, there is also a daily sort of support level here as well, which is a bit, it's a bit choppy. It's a bit of a wide range here. But it's still a support range or support zone nonetheless. The lesson here for those of you who trade, particularly the newer traders, is if you have some spare screen real estate, or maybe get yourself an extra 24-inch monitor for like $20 on Gumtree, and pay attention to the commodity prices, real-time commodity prices. Things like gold, oil, lithium, iron ore. These are kind of the big ones that 98% of the time won't do much intraday, but when they do move, it translates to the actual stock itself. So for example, I got a bot that shows me the opening price for iron ore every single morning. So that way I can't miss it. I've got no excuse. Like, I don't have real-time charting for iron ore unless I open the Sina, I forget what it's called, but the Chinese website for iron ore live price. But instead I just post it here, and if it gaps up, great, fantastic. I'll have an opportunity to short or long Fortescue in respect to any big price action from iron ore. So that way I'm not caught off guard or missing information. I always have it every single day. So this is interesting. This stock is probably something you think I would buy based on my recent videos. Buy, dip, buy, dip. It's currently in the dip phase. It's consolidating, hanging around support, and one would expect it to go back to the upside. But one thing worth noting is that I kind of have a rule at the moment not to trade specifically two things. 1, gold. 2, oil. These things are trading like speculative assets or speculative commodities, if you will. They're just all over the place, super choppy, super volatile. I will not hold overnight. I will trade intraday, but I won't hold overnight. And there's a third one, silver, but I refuse to trade silver stocks pretty much permanently. There was a rare instance on SS1 where, silver was having its initial insane spike to the upside. I think where did we get it? I think we bought it around here because there was a group of us that bought it. And I can't remember where the initial spike was, but I think I got like 15, 20 cents out of it, and that was it. So it is what it is. Just look at it, all right? From the highs to the lows, it's around 60% down. SS1 and this isn't just SS1, this is all silver stocks. They're just dog shit on the ASX. Whether they're speckies or whatever, I'm not a fan. It's on my permanent do not trade list, except for the exceptionally rare circumstance like when I first traded it. So we're going to take a look at a few trades that failed. Now, failed after we got out, right? So this is more of a risk management thing, right? I want to bring you guys back to the trades that I've been talking about for the past week or two and just show you the initial spike. You guys know where we bought ELD, the range break. We rode it up past $6, and then it gapped down, and that was our sign of weakness, and we got the fuck out, right? Car, exact same thing. We were supposed to ride momentum to the upside from this break of the pivot. It broke down this support level. We got out the very second it showed weakness, and that was below $25. Got out straight away. You can just see what happens if we didn't get out. If we didn't manage our risk, it would have been rough. Now, SFR. What did I tell you guys in my last video? We closed out below 19. What were we meant to do with the other half? we were to pay attention to two things, COPX and copper price. So let's take a look at copper price. It said any weakness, we get the fuck out. Guess what? There was weakness. COPX, guess what? There was weakness. SFR translates. What do you think when there's weakness? What's going to happen when you hit $20? A big round number. Pulls back. Of course, it's probably going to even have an oversized pullback. So get out on auction. Could have got a better price. That's fine. We spared ourselves a much bigger move to the downside. And guess what? We're done with it. We're done. I'm done. We just rode the sickest momentum for, let's call it 12% and 9%. 12 and 9%. Brilliant. Stoked with it. Super happy. HMC. This one. Okay. We butchered it. Sorry, when I say we, I really do mean me. I just don't want to take responsibility. I would love it if you can share the blame with me. Got spooked in hindsight. Hits the $3 level, pulls back, closes at $2.99. What did I say? Take roughly half out at 3 would be what I would do in this situation. And then see what the rest does. Is there going to be any sign of weakness? That's a nice little wick down and recovery, mind you, actually. Now that I look at that, that's just kind of nice. That is a nice little fuck you recover. That's beautiful, actually. Jesus, that is nice. That might actually keep trending to that 310 level tomorrow. And if there was any sign of weakness, like opening at 295, 294, I'd be out of that straight away. Nickel. This one is interesting. I did talk about high shares on issue and the fuckery surrounding it. It did hold this sort of pivot level. I wish it didn't get there, but we added on auction, and there's only one reason I bought in, decided to add on for nickel, or NI. I'm just going to call this nickel because it is Nickel Industries, but I'm pretty sure it's a pure nickel play. There was a reason that we added on instead of just holding what we have. And that is because the news this morning, pre-market around 9 o'clock, the US launched strikes on Iran. This is bad for copper. Sorry, this is bad for gold and surprisingly good for nickel. Nickel's price action actually tends to be positive when there is volatility in the US and Iran conflict. Something to do with the Strait of Hormuz halting the delivery of some materials that are used in conjunction with nickel in the smelting process, I believe. And I think there's a huge supply cut that Indonesia had to deal with. And I think Indonesia is like the major producer or whatever of nickel. They take the ore and, turn it into something useful. And that's my like very vague understanding of the relationship between nickel, Indonesia, and the war. And I was just like, okay, well, look, if it's going to hold support, I'll add on here, and if it drops, we're going to sell it. Our target was to start selling around, 101-ish. Just, there was enough there. I mean, that's not even much of a stop loss. That's, even at $1, that's 2.6%. Even from, let's call it 104. 3.5%. So there's plenty of wiggle room. Dropped to 101. On my screens, it showed up as 101.5 as the low, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But either way, really happy with how nickel is trading. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. There's hopefully going to be some extra swing trades that I'm looking at and might take. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow. Peace out, guys.